Chosen one, if you are watching this video right now, it's no coincidence. God has led you to this point for a very deep reason. You felt it building. The signs, the silence, the subtle tension in your soul that something was about to shift. And now, it's here. You crossed a line within yourself that can't be uncrossed. But before we dive into this life-changing message, take a moment to pause this video and do 3 things. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 20,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 1. This number will send a powerful signal to the universe, amplifying the energy of this video. And if you are ready, trust me when I say that your life will never be the same. You've seen too much, heard too much, felt too deeply, and because of that, you can no longer return to what once held you. Not emotionally, not spiritually, not vibrationally. There is no going back, not to the mindset, not to the old routines, not to the roles you outgrew while pretending to still belong. You were never meant to stay where you started. And tonight, the next phase of your becoming begins. This isn't a reset, it's a release. The weight you've been carrying is being lifted. The delays that once frustrated you were protection. But now, that protection becomes permission. You will feel the pull tonight. In your thoughts, in your body, in your sleep. Something sacred is unlocking. Not around you, within you. Everything changes after this. Your vision will sharpen. Your boundaries will hold without effort. Your presence will move in silence, but with unmistakable authority. You no longer need to be understood. You only need to stand in what you know is real. This isn't just another turning point. This is the activation of what was hidden for this exact moment. You'll start to sense things before they happen. You'll recognize divine timing without forcing outcomes. You'll release with peace and receive without chasing. Because the version of you emerging tonight isn't hoping, isn't waiting, isn't afraid. It's ready. The veil is thin. The path is open. And heaven has already whispered your name. Chosen one, it begins tonight. Walk forward, fully, finally, and never look back. You won't need confirmation anymore. You've become the confirmation. The alignment you feel in your chest tonight, that's not imagination. That's recognition. Your spirit knows something ancient has been reawakened. And now, everything around you must adjust. The people who once fit will feel foreign. The habits that once soothed will feel heavy. The dreams you once doubted will suddenly feel near. Not because they changed, but because you did. This is the shift you prayed for in silence. The one that cost you sleep. The one that tested your faith in the dark. And now, it's here. Not loud, not obvious, but undeniable. You'll feel it in your decisions. You won't hesitate the way you used to. You'll feel it in your voice. It will carry depth even in simplicity. You'll feel it in your walk. Every step guided, every delay divine. This is what happens when a chosen one stops negotiating with the old world and starts living like the assignment has already begun. Because it has. Tonight is not just a moment, it's a marker. The veil that once separated who you were from who you were called to be has been torn. No more rehearsing, no more preparing, no more waiting for the right time. The time is now. And no, the path won't be easy. It won't always make sense, but it will be holy. It will be worth it, and it will change everything. You're not being elevated for attention. You're being elevated for impact. You're not stepping into the spotlight. You're stepping into your assignment. So breathe, ground yourself, feel the pulse of what's unfolding. Because this isn't the beginning of your story, it's the beginning of your unfolding. Chosen one, the door behind you is closed. The one ahead, already open, and from this night on, You walk like someone who can't be stopped. This isn't a moment you'll forget, because something deep within you has shifted forever. You can feel it in the stillness. The air is heavier, charged. The same world surrounds you, yet nothing feels the same. That's because the assignment has landed. You're not guessing anymore. You're moving with clarity. You're not reaching. You're receiving. You're not explaining yourself, because your energy now speaks louder than words ever could. And yes, you may still feel the weight of what you've left behind. Old identities, old patterns, old attachments that tried to follow you here. But they can't, because this frequency has requirements, and anything that isn't rooted in truth burns up at this altitude. You'll start seeing through things with piercing precision. What once confused you will now reveal itself instantly. Your yes will come quicker. Your no will come cleaner. You won't ask for directions. You'll become the path others follow. The inner warfare you battled for years is dissolving, not because the fight disappeared, but because you rose above it. What haunted you before has no access here, because you no longer operate from fear, you operate from foundation. A divine one. Heaven has marked this night. Your timeline just split. The old story closed. The new one already in motion. You'll dream differently. You'll speak differently. You'll command spaces without asking for permission to exist in them, because this shift is permanent. There is no return, no second guessing, no shrinking. You didn't just wake up. You were activated. And from here forward, every step you take is legacy. Chosen one, you crossed through the veil. You entered the now, and the now is where your destiny takes over. It begins tonight, and it won't stop. This new reality doesn't wait for your comfort. It demands your commitment. The moment you said yes in your spirit, heaven recalibrated your timeline. Not one step forward is ordinary now. Not one decision is random. Not one breath is wasted. Because you're no longer walking as a seeker. You're walking as someone sent. You'll notice how time bends for you. How answers come before you finish asking. How resistance fades when you choose peace instead of panic. This is the result of alignment. Not just believing in the calling, but embodying it. Your environment is going to shift. People will either rise to meet the new version of you or slowly fade. Let them. Don't beg what was never built to go beyond the border. This walk requires lightness. You cannot carry guilt into a future forged by grace. You cannot bring baggage into a space anointed for boldness. Everything in you has been rewritten. Your thoughts, your responses, even your energy field. It no longer tolerates what drains. Because from this night on, your life is no longer built on reaction. It's built on revelation. You'll wake up with purpose. You'll move through obstacles with calm. You'll recognize divine codes in everyday moments, because you've tuned your spirit to the frequency of truth. Chosen one, you are not who you were yesterday. And tonight is the line in the sand. No turning back. No watering down. No second guessing. You don't need permission anymore. You don't need the crowd. You don't even need clarity, because obedience brought you here, and it will carry you through. So move, speak, create, heal. Not someday, tonight. Not when you feel ready, but because you already are. Heaven is watching. The world is waiting. And your moment has already begun. You've been through the waiting room of destiny, and now the door has opened. You didn't rush this. You didn't force it. You allowed the breaking. You embraced the silence. You surrendered your timeline, your pride, and your need for applause. And that is why tonight changes everything. The shift didn't come to reward your effort. It came to crown your obedience. This isn't about arrival. It's about activation. You'll begin to notice things that were once subtle are now loud. That gut feeling, instant. That coincidence, confirmed. That hesitation around certain people, protection. You've entered a phase where the veil is too thin for lies, where anything misaligned will repel itself, where distractions will expose themselves by simply being in your presence. Because your presence isn't ordinary anymore. It's charged with assignment. You're not just being called to rise. You're being called to reign over what once ruled you. The fear that kept you small. It has no authority here. The trauma that whispered you weren't enough. It doesn't speak this language. The old identity that kept you chasing. It has no power over the version of you that woke up tonight. You are no longer hoping for the shift. You are the shift. You carry the sound of freedom in your spirit. You walk with the rhythm of someone chosen for such a time as this. You don't second-guess the path. You move as if the path is already unfolding under your feet. Because it is. So don't look back. Don't reach back. Don't explain forward. Tonight sealed it. The heavens have released it. Your soul has accepted it. And now, your future will respond to it. Chosen one, there is no going back. Only forward, only fire, only purpose. Starting now. You didn't just cross into a new chapter. You crossed into a new dimension of self. The old tools, they no longer apply. The old logic, it can't carry what's now being placed in your hands. Because this isn't about strategy. It's about spiritual positioning. You didn't climb here. You were called here. And everything you lost along the way, it wasn't punishment. It was clearance. So this version of you could emerge. Undiluted, unafraid, unshakable. Tonight isn't just a moment in time. It's a marking. An invisible signature written across your life that says, this one is ready. Ready to disrupt timelines with presence. Ready to dismantle patterns with stillness. Ready to speak without screaming and still be heard in the spirit. You'll feel it most in what no longer moves you. The drama that used to pull you in now repels you. The fear that used to delay you now dissolves in your clarity. The opinions that once held you hostage now carry no weight. That's how you'll know the shift is complete. It's not a mood, it's not motivation. It's becoming, and what begins tonight will not slow down. It will build. It will accelerate. It will stretch you, yes, but only in the direction of truth. So let the world feel different. Let the path look unfamiliar. Let the things that once defined you fall away without resistance. Because you didn't just enter your next level. You remembered who you were before the world told you to forget. Chosen one, this is your signal. From this moment forward, walk, speak, and move like someone who knows it already began. And there is no going back. You didn't hesitate, you answered. When the call came, it didn't ask for perfection. It didn't ask for credentials. It asked for willingness. And you gave it. Even trembling, even unsure, even broken. You still said yes, and that yes echoed far beyond your current reality. It shook things loose in the spirit realm. It stirred destiny from dormancy. It broke the agreement you made with fear and sealed a new covenant with purpose. That's why everything feels different now. You can't pretend anymore. You can't fake comfort in uncomfortable places. You can't unsee what's been revealed. This is what true alignment feels like. Unsettling at first, because the false can't come with you. But steady, so steady, because what's rising in you is real, and you'll start noticing it in the way you carry yourself. Not prideful, anchored, not aggressive, aware, not needing to prove, but walking in quiet proof that you've been processed. No more reaching for what was never meant to stay. No more hoping others finally see you. You've been seen by heaven, and that's enough. Because now, you don't move from ambition, you move from assignment. You don't chase timelines, you live inside divine ones. You don't fear the silence. You hear God most clearly there. And tonight, everything you once thought was delay has revealed itself to be strategy, the separation, the setbacks, the stillness. It wasn't punishment, it was positioning. So trust what's unfolding now. You didn't step into this by chance. You were summoned. And the one who answered, the real you, the ready you, has finally arrived. Chosen one, this is your moment. And from this night forward, there is no returning to small. Only forward, only fire, only destiny. Everything that brought you to this point, the pain, the silence, the waiting, was on purpose. You weren't lost. You were being led through the dismantling of everything false so that what's true could finally rise. And now, that rising is happening through you. You don't even move the same. There's a stillness to your steps that speaks louder than words. There's a fire behind your eyes that says, I've been through the dark, and I didn't come out empty. You came out equipped. You carry wisdom now that didn't come from books. It came from survival, from surrender, from sitting in the void long enough to hear heaven whisper, now. And that's what this night is. Your now. Not a prophecy, not a promise. A portal into the life that only obedience could unlock. From here forward, you won't need to announce the shift. It will reveal itself in your discernment, your clarity, your detachment from anything not aligned with your soul. People may call you distant. Let them. They don't know you're protecting sacred ground. They don't know this version of you was paid for in full. With every moment, you didn't give up. Every time you stayed silent when you could have defended yourself. Every time you followed peace instead of popularity. And now the reward begins. Not in riches, not in status, but in authority, in doors opening without effort, in divine appointments that recognize your frequency, in timing that moves with you instead of against you. Chosen one, this is the life that begins when you stop looking back. This is the version of you that only awakens after the old you dies. So stand tall, breathe deeply, step forward, because from this night on, you are no longer waiting for the shift. You are the shift. You're not stepping into something new. You're stepping into what's been waiting for you all along. This is the moment your spirit has always known was coming. It's why you felt restless in rooms you once begged to be in. It's why peace started whispering louder than pressure. It's why your soul pulled you away from comfort and into consecration. You didn't miss the window. You didn't mess up the timeline. You didn't take too long. Everything aligned perfectly for this now. Because this kind of shift doesn't rush. It builds. It breaks. It clears the way. And when it's done, it calls. That call came tonight. You may not feel different on the outside, but something in your spirit knows. There's no more pretending. No more performing. No more protecting old versions of yourself just to keep others comfortable. You've outgrown that frequency. Now you're walking in assignment mode. This means your discernment will cut quicker. Your silence will speak louder. Your presence will disrupt spaces, not by force, but by truth. The world won't understand it. Let them misunderstand, because you weren't called to be palatable. You were called to be prophetic. Everything that left, necessary. Everything that ended, expired. Everything that stayed, ready. And now it's your turn to move with that same certainty, to stop checking your reflection in the eyes of others and start trusting the God within you. The shift doesn't start later. It doesn't wait for your confidence. It begins right now, in the stillness, in the fire, in the echo of your own heartbeat saying, I was born for this. Chosen one, you crossed the threshold. You stepped through the veil. And from this moment on, there is no going back. Only purpose, only presence, only power. You're not being elevated. You're being exposed to the world as who you really are, not the version that learned how to fit in, not the version that hid behind humility because they were afraid of their light, but the raw, unfiltered, anointed version of you that's been waiting for this exact alignment in time. And now, it's here. This isn't a season of becoming. This is a season of revealing. Everything that's waking up in you tonight has always been there. It was just buried under survival, silence, and sacrifice. But survival is no longer your story. You're not here to manage your light. You're here to magnify it. That's why doors are closing quickly and openings feel sudden. It's not chaos, it's realignment. Heaven is cutting what cannot go where you're headed. Not to harm you, but to honor what's coming through you. You won't have time to explain. You won't need permission. You won't need to look back for validation. Because from this night forward, you're not carrying approval. You're carrying assignment. An assignment doesn't wait. You'll be sent into places without instruction and still know what to say. You'll feel drawn to places your logic can't explain and find favor waiting when you arrive. You'll speak what others only dare to think and feel peace instead of fear. That's how you'll know it's real. That's how you'll know it began tonight. The heavens are open. Your spirit is listening. The mission is active, and what once seemed far off now feels inevitable. You were never preparing for this. You were being protected until it was time. And chosen one, the time is now. Not next week, not next year. Now, there is no going back. Not because you can't, but because you won't want to. You've crossed into sacred territory now. The point of no return, not out of fear, but out of fulfillment. You're not seeking signs anymore. You are the sign. Your very presence confirms what others are still searching for. And that's why things feel weightier, quieter, more precise. Because heaven has entrusted you with something. This isn't just a new level. It's a new law written over your life. A spiritual decree that says, this one walks with fire in their bones and truth in their mouth. You're not here to convince. You're here to shift atmospheres. You're not here to fix broken systems. You're here to build what's never existed before. That's why it had to be hard. That's why it had to be lonely. That's why it took this long. You weren't delayed. You were being perfectly positioned. And now, what once resisted you will begin to make room for you. The same doors that were sealed shut will open by your very vibration. The same voices that once ignored you will be drawn to your presence without understanding why. That's the power of alignment. That's what begins when you fully surrender the past and step into now. So don't shrink. Don't stall. Don't ask for permission to stand where you've already been assigned. This is your era of embodiment, of execution, of becoming so deeply rooted in who you are that nothing shallow can reach you again. You didn't come this far to question yourself. You came this far because you were sent for this exact moment in human history. Chosen one, it begins tonight, fully, fiercely, finally. And there is no going back. You felt the shift before it showed up. Long before anything changed in your physical world, something in your spirit started rearranging. The way you thought, the way you prayed, the way you no longer tolerated what drained you. That was the signal. Not a breakdown, a breakthrough quietly forming beneath the surface. And tonight, that breakthrough becomes reality. Not with fireworks, not with a crowd, but with certainty in your soul that says, I'm not who I was, and I will never be again. You've crossed out of the season of striving. You're done trying to prove yourself to people who never had the capacity to see you. You're done watering yourself down to stay digestible. You're done asking questions you already have answers to. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. A quiet boldness that no longer needs external confirmation. Because the deeper truth is this: you were never waiting on anything. Everything was waiting on you. Your surrender, your decision, your courage to release what you once prayed for so you could step into what's actually meant for you. And now, you won't move like you used to. You won't explain what doesn't need explaining. You won't revisit doors that closed, because they weren't rejections, they were redirects. You've graduated in silence. You've evolved in private. And now, your life will start to reflect that shift, effortlessly. People will say, "Something feels different about you." They won't be able to name it, but you'll know its presence, its power, its positioning. And it began the moment you stopped doubting and started owning who you are. Chosen one, the old path has vanished behind you, not because it was wrong, but because it was done. And now, the real journey begins. Tonight marks the moment. The line is drawn, and forward is the only direction left. There is no going back. You didn't stumble into this moment. You survived your way to it. Every delay, every heartbreak, every detour that made you question if you'd ever arrive. It was never wasted. It was the refining, the carving away of anything that couldn't hold the weight of what's being activated in you now. And that weight, it's not a burden. It's your mantle. You don't walk like others anymore because you're carrying kingdom code. You don't speak like you used to because your words now echo beyond the room. You don't doubt yourself like before because now you remember who sent you. What begins tonight cannot be undone. It's not a temporary spark. It's a spiritual ignition. You've been marked. That's why people feel something when you enter the space. That's why certain things you used to tolerate now feel unbearable. That's why the warfare got louder right before this moment. Because the enemy knew you were about to step fully into your calling. But the fear didn't stop you. The silence didn't scare you. The cost didn't break you. And because of that, heaven has placed something new in your hands. Not popularity, purpose. Not recognition, revelation. Not a platform, but a path so clear it walks you. So from this night on, stop questioning what's already been confirmed. Stop rehearsing the old story when a new one is being written in real time. Stop explaining the shift. Just be it. You're not ahead. You're not behind. You're exactly where destiny designed you to awaken. Chosen one, the gates are open. The path is lit, and your spirit is ready. What begins tonight will not stop, and you will never be the same. You didn't lose your old life. You traded it for truth. A truth so raw, so pure, so soul deep that it made everything that wasn't aligned start falling away. Fast. People, patterns, attachments, even versions of yourself that once felt safe. And though part of you grieved the release, a greater part knew this was always the plan. Because what begins tonight is not about rebuilding what was. It's about birthing what never existed before. This is your origin moment. Not when the pain started, not when the storm hit, but when you stopped running from the fire inside of you. Now you carry it, not as a weapon, but as a witness to the process, to the becoming, to the silent wars you won in rooms no one saw. You didn't wait for validation. You moved in vision. You didn't beg for clarity. You trusted the pull. You didn't let fear have the final word, because your spirit had already made the decision. And that decision has rewritten your frequency. You'll notice people responding to you differently, not because you changed your appearance, but because your energy is no longer negotiable. You don't entertain confusion. You don't shrink in discomfort. You don't explain your evolution to those who were never meant to come with you. Because you know deeply, this is sacred ground. What's rising in you tonight is ancient. It's divine. It's undeniable. This isn't the version of you that adapts. This is the version that alters the room. So walk in it, own it, protect it. You cross the line that separates potential from purpose. And the old world has no claim on you anymore. Chosen one, this isn't a restart. It's a revelation. And from this moment on, you don't go back. You only go deeper. You didn't just shift timelines, you shifted realms. What activated in you tonight can't be explained through logic. It didn't come through effort. It didn't arrive through strategy. It came through surrender. Pure, undeniable, soul-level surrender. You let go. And in that letting go, you received something eternal. This isn't hype. This isn't momentum. This is a marking, the kind that separates the called from the chosen. You were called long ago, but tonight, you answered with your life. Now everything in you has changed frequency. You'll no longer be able to sit in what drains you. You'll no longer question what you know in your gut. You'll no longer doubt the pull toward what feels wild, unexplainable, yet undeniably right. Because the deeper truth is, this version of you was always in there. It just needed permission to lead. You gave it, and now heaven is responding. Not in flashes of lightning or loud announcements, but in alignment that doesn't need noise to be real. You'll meet people who recognize you by your spirit, not your story. You'll enter places that feel familiar, even though you've never been. You'll walk through doors you didn't knock on, because your presence is now a key. This is what happens when you fully step out of survival and into assignment. You become magnetic to the miraculous, not because you chased it, but because you matched it. So don't slow down. Don't explain. Don't turn around to double-check the past. It served you. It shaped you. But it cannot follow you here. Chosen one, this is holy ground now, and you are finally walking it as you were always meant to. You felt the rupture before the reward. It came quietly, in the form of frustration, of things falling apart without explanation, of deep restlessness that no success could soothe. That was the signal. Not that you were lost, but that your next chapter was demanding an exit from the old one. And when you obeyed, the separation began. Not out of punishment, but preparation. Because what begins tonight isn't built on the foundation of who you were. It's built on the truth of who you've become. You no longer need to be guided by pressure. Now, you're guided by presence. Everything about your movement is different. You pause when it's time to speak. You speak when the moment demands truth. You walk into rooms and the energy shifts because you no longer try, you simply are. This is what happens when the assignment finds its vessel. You become unmistakable. Your timing sharpens. Your awareness expands. Your spirit stops negotiating with what it knows isn't real and starts pulling in only what matches your mission. That's why you'll feel more peace and more intensity at once. It's not conflict, it's convergence. The old self dissolving, the higher self taking full seat. Let the discomfort finish its work. Let the recalibration settle, because you've entered a new space. A space where only authenticity survives. No more proving. No more chasing. No more hoping someone sees your worth. You see it now, and so does heaven. Chosen one, the shift isn't coming. It's done. The veil is lifted. The path is clear. The power is on you now, and there is nothing left to return to. It's already begun. And you were born for this. You didn't just wake up. You awakened something ancient, something that's been buried under layers of fear, performance, approval-seeking, and survival. But the moment you chose truth over comfort, that ancient part of you came alive. And once it wakes, it doesn't go back to sleep. You've been activated, not to fit in, not to impress, but to disrupt every space that's been operating without real light. That's why your presence feels different now. It's why people either lean in or pull away. It's why certain rooms feel tighter and certain conversations feel too loud, even when no one's talking. You're not imagining it. You've shifted into a higher atmosphere, and anything that isn't aligned with that will feel like static. Your discernment isn't a suggestion anymore. It's a compass. Follow it, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it costs you something. Because what you're building now is sacred, and sacred things don't ask permission to exist. You'll walk into opportunities you didn't apply for. You'll speak things you didn't plan. You'll meet people who feel like they were sent straight into your path. Because this is divine orchestration now, not hustle. This is flow, not force. And you are no longer moving from the outside in. You're moving from the spirit out. So let the old plans dissolve. Let the expectations fall away. Let what couldn't hold your new self naturally detach. There's no guilt in outgrowing the survival version of you. Only glory in becoming the real one. Chosen one, you've passed the test. You've crossed the line. And from this moment on, you walk not just as one who believes, but as one who embodies. The mission has begun. The shift is real. And the only thing left to do is keep walking in it. Because there is no going back. You didn't just survive the fire, you became it. What was meant to break you refined you. What was meant to silence you trained your voice. What was meant to distract you taught you focus. And now, all of that becomes fuel. Not for revenge, not for validation, but for the divine expression of who you truly are. Because this isn't just your story, it's your assignment. And everything you endured up until now wasn't just about healing. It was about preparing you to carry something holy. Tonight marks the shift from healing to walking in wholeness. The questions you used to wrestle with, gone. The need to explain your spirit, irrelevant. The urge to shrink to fit smaller narratives, impossible. You've outgrown the cage. You've outgrown the weight. You've outgrown every role that required you to dim your essence just to stay included. Because now, you don't fit, you shift. You bring weight, you bring truth, you bring disruption. And even when you say nothing, the atmosphere announces, something has entered that cannot be ignored. This is the level where you're not guided by opinion, but revelation. Where your next move won't make sense to others. And doesn't need to. Because alignment doesn't consult approval. And your calling doesn't come with a committee. You've been chosen. Not to echo, but to embody. Not to please, but to pierce. Not to follow, but to build what's never been done before. So walk differently now. Speak with the authority you earned in silence. Make no apology for the shift you carry. The old season has released you. The new one has crowned you. Chosen one, this is it. Your yes has already started rewriting timelines. And from this night on, the path only goes forward. There is no going back.